this thing about the Titanic 5, these guys talking about a race for time. They're down there. They're possibly, we don't know if they're still alive. We have no idea if they're alive right now. Everyone that I know is talking about this situation right now. But you know what's interesting? And Seamus, you and I were talking before we got on air about this. There are people who are rooting for them to die.
Yep.
There are people who are rooting for the ocean in this situation. And look, I'm going to be honest. I'll say this with, I don't wear the beanie right now, but with my former
You
Navy,
have a friend named Jack.
I have a friend named Poso, who's a former Navy officer. These guys are in miracle territory. They're in Hail Mary territory at this point. It is not likely right now that they will be saved due to a number of factors. The severe and extreme depth that the Titanic is at, the fact that this thing has, as far as we know, has not surfaced. They have an emergency procedure where it can resurface very quickly. It doesn't appear to have done that. It's sustained some kind of damage. There's been questions about the hull integrity, and if the hull is breached, they've been done the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as we know, there's no way any human can survive at that depth, and certainly not at that pressure. You'd be killed instantly, basically, if there was a hull breach. That being said, even if there wasn't, to be able to find this thing, get submersibles down there, you just don't have enough time. You don't have enough air. But what is going on where there are people who say, well, these guys are rich, you know what? They get what they deserve. And I think we talked about it before, and Serge, you had the point as well. Yeah. We're always told that, we don't hate the rich. We just love the poor so much.
Yep.
They're exploiting the poor. We just love the poor. Really? Because you can go and look up, I think it's called the Titan. You can look up the Titan, type it in Twitter right now, and you will see people arguing and cheering, celebrating the fact that they want these people to die. Now,
and getting thousands of likes and retweets.
And it's everywhere. And
it's not fringe.
I don't necessarily think that these guys are, heroes. I don't know if they're not Lewis and Clark. Okay, they're not Magellan.
Yeah, right.
There's people that have pioneered these areas before. Are they taking a risk? Yes. It is a foolhardy risk. I would say probably. Yeah. But that being said, they're human beings.
Yeah, and they have families. And to say that because this person is wealthy, I hate them and I'm going to celebrate their death is an absolutely sick thing to say. It shows you exactly how hateful they are. I'm going to quote somebody. I saw a tweet from an account called Good Tweetman, and what he said was, all of the people who are saying they hope these people died and rooting for them having a horrible death are the same people who say, I just want everyone to have healthcare. That's my form of extremism.
So funny.
And it's true. Now, this just goes to show you that the vast majority of people who call themselves socialists or leftists are, in truth, envious. Yep. They want to tear people down who have more than them. They want to see people who have more than them suffer and even die. There's a very intense darkness here, even though they claim that they don't hate these people. Now, conservatives, for example, will be accused of hating gay people basically all the time. If I heard a group of gay people died in a submersible or in some other horrible way, I wouldn't be going, oh, this is wonderful. I don't cheer for the deaths of people whose choices I disagree with and who I don't like. Like my desire for people, if I think they're doing something wrong, is for them to repent, turn to God, have a good life, and get to heaven. Not for them to die, to go and sin no more and repent, not to die a horrible death. So anyone who makes a claim like this, anyone who says that it's good that these people died, they've lost the moral high ground. But to be fair, most of them lost the moral high ground long ago. And their worldview is about hatred, anger, and I'll leave you with this. Most of the time, when people are calling for equality, what they're actually calling for is a celebration of themselves and their own aggrandizement, because it's very rare that somebody who's calling for equality is actually doing the work to help people who are beneath them in terms of wealth or social status. True. They're almost always looking to the people who are higher than them and saying, it is criminal that I'm not on their level, that they occupy a higher position than me. Everything that we were saying about pride earlier, these are prideful people who are saying any system that doesn't place me at the top is one which is fundamentally corrupt, and so I will celebrate when people who are above me die.
Which is also envy. Ian, I want to get your take, because we got to get you in the conversation here a little bit more. Look, I know you've been crunching the numbers. You're looking at the submersible. You've got the science background. What would be the Ian Crossland way to try to get this sub up?
Oh man, deep sea lasers. laseroscopy, some way to map the vibrations of it. Is so small and the ocean is so huge and currents take you so fast. We were watching these jet stream currents that things can get caught up in. They lost contact with the mothership. These things aren't submarines, they're submersibles. They can't go under alone.
So they lost contact at 45 minutes.
45 minutes. It was going to take them 2 hours to get down, and at 45 minutes, I thought it was an hour and a half. So as you said,
is it only 2
minutes?
hours to get down? I thought it was like 8. I didn't realize.
Okay, maybe
two and a half. I think I saw 2.5.
So,
really?
but
Okay.
It was before they were even reached the bottom that they disappeared off contact. So that was like, I don't know, Sunday, Saturday, no, it was before, yes.
And
Saturday.
then I think the hour and a half was the final distress call.
An hour and a half was the final distress call. Purportedly, they've got another 12 hours of oxygen on board.
But that's assuming that there hasn't been a hull breach.
Right.
A hull breach. I don't know if they're hooked on the Titanic somewhere, if they're caught in algae, if they're on a net, if they got washed away and they're stuck under a rock somewhere 7 miles away.
They could actually be, they could actually be inside the Titanic, because there was a story that someone else, this is not the first voyage of this sub. And there was a guy who said that when they went down the last time, they actually essentially landed on the deck of the Titanic. Look, this thing's been down there for 100 years. If you're trying to land on the deck of something under that pressure, the Titanic wasn't designed to operate at that pressure. It's a surface level. It's a surface ship. It's kind of black humor, but saying it now. But there's a line in the Navy that every ship can be a submarine once. It's kind of like how the Ukrainians found out that any vehicle can be a minesweeper once in the current counteroffensive. So there's that. But they could have been attempting another one of these landings to say, hey, we're on the deck of the Titanic, and then believe it or not, we could actually be seeing an increase in the death toll of the Titanic itself.
Well, but then the question is, if that's a realistic possibility, I mean, why haven't they been searching there, or why haven't they looked there? I mean, I imagine it's difficult to get a submersive out there to do that kind of a rescue operation.
I'm sure it's the first place they checked.
Yeah.
Or that being said, it could just be because of the severe depth. Again, that's okay. Navy hat back on. You can't just get one of these submersibles there on station immediately. It's not like, it's not a Marvel movie. It's not the Avengers. The plane doesn't just like fly in from, across the skies and then everyone just flies down to the bottom of the sea. You have to get it. You have to spin it up. You have to get it powered. You have to get it set. You have to dial in the parameters for where you're going. You have to get it on station. You can't just fly something out and drop it in. Typically, you need a ship tender for one of these things. So you need another ship that needs to be prepared. Then that ship has to go out at ship speed. So you're talking about 10 hours, 12 hours just to get on station once you've got the remote operated vessel that's there, remote operated vehicle that's on station. So I mean, you're fighting against the clock the entire time. The ocean is massive. This is way, way down. And it's possible that even if they have something down there, they have no clue exactly what was going on. And
well, the controller disconnected.
It could be attacked. Right. Yeah. The thing was done. It was controlled by a Logitech controller.
That's insane.
Looking
video
at this
game
thing.
controller. Yeah.
A video game controller, $30.
Logitech stock took a hit. I was reading today.
As soon as I heard about this story, my conspiracy hat came back on, and I was like, dude, the Titanic is still taking down billionaires. Because I'm sure you guys have probably heard that people on the Titanic initially were like bankers that didn't want to do the Federal Reserve.
John Astor was one of them, I think.
Right, yeah. And then that's where, Jekyll Island and the bankers there, and then that's when they started the Federal Reserve.
Here we go.
So, that's why my conspiracy
by the way, I just saw on Daily Mail,
Tim.
real quick on Daily Mail that I saw one of the members of the current crew, the Titanic 5 that's on there right now, are actually descendants of people who died on the original Titanic.
That's so sad.
Man.
Well, they wanted to see how their ancestor died. That's a sad thing. They're going to explore the site of where a family member died, and now they very well may die, and people on the left think that's wonderful. So I'll ask you this. At the depth that they were lost, about 45 minutes in is when contact was lost.
Initial contact was lost.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question for you is, approximately what depth would they be at that point? Do you have a good answer for that, or is that sort of outside of your?
You'd be at least a couple hundred feet down.
Okay. So then my question is,
if not a couple thousand.
Yeah. What could happen at that depth? I mean, would this just have been a problem with the submersible itself, or are there currents that could come sweep you away very quickly?
Honestly, all of the above.
Okay.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.